If you want to grow your wealth, you need to do 3 really important things. Spend less than you earn, save money, and invest. When you hear the word wealth, you possibly imagine people like Elon Musk and the Kardashians and things like private jets and gems and really flashy cars. When I talk about building wealth, I don't necessarily mean making yourself one of the top 1%. Although that would be quite nice, let's be honest. I'd probably be in the Maldives right now. What I mean is making decisions in your life that help you grow your personal wealth and achieve financial freedom. Step number 1 is to spend less than what you earn. And my key tip here is to make yourself look poor. What do I actually mean by that? What I mean by that is that real wealth is quiet. It isn't the stuff that you see. It is the stuff going on behind closed doors. It is the money put aside as a habit every single month. It is not the big house. It is not the flashy car. It is not the 10 holidays a year. Even a person on a really, really high income who may be living what you consider to be a rich lifestyle isn't necessarily going to be wealthy. Because if they're spending every single penny, what have they actually got? A 150k salary soon goes if you have got an absolutely enormous mortgage, 2 brand new cars on the driveway, very, very expensive holidays every year, private school fees to pay, and other commitments. What you're seeing there is not their wealth, but the money that they are spending. An outward appearance of wealth doesn't tell us very much about whether there's any true wealth hidden beneath the surface. Real wealth means positive cash flow, no debts, an emergency fund to cover you just in case of the unexpected, and let's face it, the unexpected does happen, and also efforts to grow your wealth, a plan for the future. So right now you might be thinking, we're in a cost of living crisis, how on earth can I spend less than what I earn? And I get it, budgets are really, really tough right now, and it's very, very, very difficult to trim any fat from a budget that's already tight. But that doesn't mean that it isn't worth trying. You need to take a look at the numbers. Where is your money actually going? And is there anywhere else that you can make savings? These might be big savings, such as on your housing. Could you save money on your mortgage or rent by downsizing or moving to a cheaper area? Or there could be small savings to be found, such as cutting back on your grocery bill or your monthly subscriptions or monthly payments to things such as gym membership and whatever activities that you or your kids do outside of school and work. Be clear on what are your wants, i.e. new clothes, stuff, takeaways, and what are your needs, the stuff that you actually need to live. And that's not to say that you have to go without wants. I just always say in these videos that there is a balance to be found so that you can find that money in order to invest in you, in your future. One of the best ways to find a little bit more wiggle room in your budget is to find a way to get a pay rise, either by applying for a new job or asking for one at your current work. And try to avoid lifestyle creep if you do get that pay rise. It's very, very easy to spend what you earn and to adjust your lifestyle accordingly to how much you're earning. If you struggle with impulse spending, like I do, it can really help to make yourself feel poorer. What I mean by that is that making sure that there's no excess money in your bank account available for impulse spending. You have enough in your current account to cover your needs for that month, and maybe even a little something for something that you've been wanting to buy, but you plan ahead for that. So there's nothing extra in there for you to make an impulse purchase. The next step is to make money saving a habit. One of the most frustrating things about finances is that it's much easier for the rich to get richer than it is for someone starting from zero to build wealth. 10% of 100k is a much bigger number than 10% of 100. But that shouldn't leave you discouraged, and here's why. Savings are about more than just building wealth. They're also about helping you avoid debt. Let's say you started with £50 and then did 12 months of £50, that's £650. Your rate of return with, say, a 5% interest rate is going to be less than 20 quid in interest. Not particularly exciting. However, let's flip that on its head. Consider this. What happens if your washing machine breaks down, which is just the absolute nightmare scenario with me, as I have 2 kids who go to school and get incredibly muddy. Instead of having to rely on credit or a loan or buy now, pay later schemes, you're able to just replace that washing machine with that money that you'd set aside. Now look, of course you can borrow money interest-free, but the problem with these sorts of things can be that what if it snowballs? What if one day the washing machine breaks, the next day the dishwasher breaks, the next day you have a car repair that needs doing, or something comes up that means that you have to take out more buy now, pay later or more loans, and then all of a sudden you don't manage to make the first payment because of those costs. And then you're paying interest on the debt. And these things can snowball in a scarily fast way. So your first priority for savings should be an emergency fund. And it's great to start with a month, even better if you can get to a point where you have 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses tucked away. Even with all of the best intentions in life, stuff goes wrong. And it usually happens in threes, which is kind of annoying. Having that emergency fund provides you with a rock solid foundation for moving on to the next step, building your wealth. You're not going to have the worry of debt hanging over you because you've got yourself covered. Let's just touch on briefly how much you should be saving every month. I mean, the answer to this is frustratingly, as much as you can. It may feel really overwhelming right now, committing to a set amount, but it really is the best way to save going forward, to make it a habit, to make that commitment that you are going to put that money aside every single month, even if it's as little as 5%. What you could do is challenge yourself and say, look, this year I'm going to put away 5% of my take-home pay. Next year I'm going to increase that by 1%. I'm going to put away 6%. The year after I'll put away 7%. Then I'll put away 8%. So you're growing it incrementally. If you get a pay rise, amazing. Channel it into that savings. Let's say you commit to 10%. Your take-home pay is £3,000 or $3,000 for my followers in the US. 10% of that take-home pay is going to be £300 or $300. And look, if that feels a lot, if that feels overwhelming, the expenses that you already have, that's £10, $10 a day. Try and think of ways how you can make that money up. It can actually be quite fun to write out all your budget and see places where you can make these savings. And what that means is that you're saving $3,600 a year. And that takes me on to the final step in building wealth, which is saving and investing. Try and be smart with where you put your money. Leaving it languishing in your current account or sitting in a jar by your bedside is not going to be the best place for your money. Look, say you've got $20 and you just leave it in your savings jar by your bedside for a whole year. At the end of that year, you've still got $20, but what you can buy with that $20 is much less, thanks to inflation making everything cost more. So what you want to do is take your $20 and try and grow it. Let's take a look at what happens if you invest that £3,600 a year. As I said earlier, it needs to be a habit. So not just 1 year of saving, but every single year sticking to this habit. If you put that amount into an investment calculator, I've just used one on a banking website here, you can see that if you put aside £3,600 a year for 35 years, there are no guarantees with investing. That is the optimistic level. But as you can see, you're gonna end up with more money than what you started with. Now, there are lots of different options for what you can do with your money, and what you do with it really depends on a lot of things that are completely personal to you, such as your age and your appetite for risk. How much money could you potentially afford to lose in riskier investments, or are you much more cautious and would prefer to put all of your money in safer investments, in which case your rate of return is going to be less, but obviously you're not then at risk of losing it all as you would be with a riskier investment. And this is why I found a lot of advisors say to spread your investments and savings. So you've got your riskier investments and then you've got your super safe savings, not quite as attractive returns, but you know that your money is safe. So a good example of a risky and volatile investment might be cryptocurrency. So I have put money into Bitcoin. I put it into Bitcoin 4 years ago. Overall, I have had a good return since 2020. However, it has gone through a lot of dips, some really low dips. I never lost value, but it went really close to pretty much making me like barely anything at all. So that's an example of a volatile investment, whereas a safer investment might be something like government bonds. Your money's safe, but your return isn't going to be quite as attractive. So the thing with Bitcoin is that I've invested money into it that I'm prepared to lose. That's why I haven't put very much into it. It would be scary if I had put all of my savings in there, given the roller coaster that the value of Bitcoin has been on in the last few years. And if you feel like investing isn't for you and you feel a little bit intimidated, I totally get that, but you shouldn't, because if you have a pension, you already are investing. Your pension is invested. Let me just take you through the areas where I've put my money at the moment. Now, this is something that may evolve over time and it certainly has changed, but this is where I'm at right now. So I've always paid into a pension. I always paid into company pensions, even when I was a trainee reporter and my salary was absolutely atrocious. I now have a self-employed pension, which I pay into every single month. So where else do I put my money? I have an easy access savings account. This is something that I move around a little bit just to try and chase the best rate of interest. I need it to be easy access because I have to pay a twice annual tax bill as I am self-employed, and so I self-assess. And then I have a cash ISA because I really like to take advantage of the fact that any interest gained on that ISA over the course of a year, the government isn't going to tax. I've also got a stocks and shares ISA, and this one's actually for my kids. Now you can get a junior ISA for your children, but we've just taken the decision that we don't want them to have access to a large pot of money once they get 18. Maybe that makes me mean. Maybe they will be completely upstanding, sensible citizens when they get to 18, but yeah, I'm kind of trying to maintain control of that money, because that money is for things like house purchase, car purchase, big purchases that they're going to need to make, and giving them complete control of it at 18 just makes me a little nervous. Next, I have an investment account. Now, I am not a very confident investor, so I just have a general investment account, which basically means that the company my investment account in picks the funds, a portfolio of funds for me to invest in. They did a little sort of questionnaire when I opened the account, asking like my age, how long I want to invest for, how much I want to invest, and like what my appetite for risk is, i.e. like, you know, how risky, how long term am I prepared to be like in the game for. So I've kind of tried to spread my bets here. I've taken a little dabble in a riskier investment with Bitcoin, but then I have got some easy access savings and ISAs so that I'm taking advantage of those tax-free accounts. And the other option in the UK is premium bonds. And this is kind of controversial among investors because you're not guaranteed a return on this. So your money is protected. What you put in, you can take out again. But every month you're entered into a prize draw where you could win £25 for your premium bonds, or you could win as much as a £1 million prize. Now look, there's all kind of debate around as to whether premium bonds are actually worth it. For me, even when I only had a small amount in premium bonds, it was worth it in the sense that even if I wasn't earning interest, even if I wasn't winning every time, there was a chance that I could win 100k or I could win £1 million, which actually was more attractive having that chance than it being in a bank account where I was only earning, say, 2-3% interest on £1,000, which, I mean, it's money, but £1 million is a lot of money. Before you go, here is a bonus tip to help you succeed. Try to have an abundance mindset. If you feel like you don't have enough money and that you never will have enough money, you have what's known as a scarcity mindset. Someone with an abundance mindset believes that there is enough money out there for everyone and that you can change your financial situation. This shift in attitude can help you approach growing your wealth with a much more sort of positive outlook and motivate you to make the changes needed in your financial situation.